Welcome to part 2. Now, one of the most amazing, bizarre things that's happening in Kenya right now is that we have massive evidence of massive fraud. The Supreme Court has confirmed that there's fraud during the election. Yeah. But then even after all that, there are some people who still expect the rest of Kenya to shut up and allow the same IEBC with the same infrastructure and with the same access to those who bullied them into messing up the elections to mess up the election again. That is really the amazing thing. Okay, but when you look at it a bit deeper, and also based on what we discussed in the first part of this video, actually it is pretty obvious. Okay, and it's obvious because we know that Jubilee, there's no way Jubilee can win an election in this country if they do not rig it. Now I know Jubilee guys will be very upset at that statement, but it is the truth. Okay, so if you cannot win the election by rigging it, then you don't have another option. You must find a way to rig it. It's as simple as that. Anyway, we now find ourselves in that ridiculous situation. In fact, it has been very well put by a man called Miguna, yeah, who puts a lot of clarity into this situation. He says allowing Chebukati and Chiloba to conduct the elections is like appointing convicted bank robbers to guard a bank. What do you expect? Eh? What do you expect? Do you expect that convicted bank robbers will resist the temptation to rob the bank now that you have even put them next to the money? Gosh, that's really the situation we're in Kenya. Okay? Sadly, it's a situation which has been brought in by a culture of fraudulent elections. Yeah, that's really what has happened. Now, what has been worrying a lot of people has been the fact that even as we have a fraudulent IEBC, or rather convicted bank robbers IEBC, yeah, who have been put in charge of the bank, yeah, i.e. to run the next election, we now have another problem created by Jubilee. Yeah, the Jubilee government is now very aggressively out on an effort to change electoral laws. Okay, and this is worrying a lot of people. In fact, it's making a lot of people go crazy. My advice to Liza Ball, yeah, it is an exercise in futility. Okay, and again, let's rely on Miguna wisdom. He says Jubilee is in great panic and are blind to the fact that no law can apply retroactively. So the silly amendments are useless. Okay? Now let me put that in English. In simple English, you cannot pass a law that contradicts other laid down laws. You cannot pass a law that contradicts the Constitution. Okay? Now let me reword that slightly, because what has happened since 2013, as you have seen in an earlier recording, that actually laws have been passed that contradict the Constitution. Laws have been passed that contradict our other laws, okay? But here's the catch. Even if you pass those laws, and that's why Miguna is saying it's they're useless, yeah? Even if you pass those laws, it is very easy to go to any court and say, such and such a law is against our Constitution. End of story. Now, no judge on earth can say at a legal, what they say, legal gray area, or matter of interpretation. There's nothing like that. What the law says is what the law says, yeah? And therefore, what will happen is that that law of yours will not be effective. It will be a sitting duck law, yeah? Because yes, it has been passed. Yes, the president has signed it. But sasa mtu akienda kotini, the whole thing is just cancelled. Okay? That's what Miguna meant. Okay? Now, but admittedly, the downside is when you do this, when you pass so many of these laws, yeah, what wataumia? Because not everybody is going to be able to go to court, yes, which means that you're going to use these illegal laws, yes, until such a time as somebody can go to a court and actually get it overturned in a particular case, yeah, declare it null and void, yeah, which will now allow the law to be useless. Because every time somebody tries to use it, there's a precedent. The court has actually said this and this. A very good example is how NASA went to court in the run-up to the elections and to get interpretations of certain parts of the constitutions, constitution, which were ignored, yeah, and which even had laws which had been passed by parliament which were contradicting them, yeah. So we heard what the Court of Appeal said, what our courts said, and all those things were very easily overturned, okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. So why I say to Lisa Ball, they can pass laws from morning till evening, but as long as the constitution we have is intact, those laws will go absolutely nowhere, okay. And even in an election, if somebody files a petition and somebody quotes those laws, somebody just says, points to the constitution, and it becomes null and void. And this is why Miguna says these silly amendments are useless. That's what he means, okay. But still, it's causing a lot of anxiety amongst Kenyans, because people are beginning to ask, what is going on? Yes, because those who stole the elections, yeah, obviously were sympathizers of Jubilee, whoever they were. Yes, because the IEBC, whatever they did, favored Jubilee. Whatever stealing and fraud and whatever they were found guilty of doing, it all favored Jubilee. It did not favor NASA. Okay, so people are getting very anxious, because now they are saying the people who stole the elections are now changing the laws. Gosh. And this is causing further anxiety in the country. Yeah. Now remember what I started off with. I told you that Jubilee are not interested in going back to the polls. Yeah, on a level playing field. They are not interested. And I told you why. Yeah, because they know they'll lose. Okay. Now one would ask, why would Jubilee go into all this trouble of amending the law? Why would they go into all this trouble? Okay. Now, from where I sit, really it's just to provoke NASA. Yeah, because we chafua, the more you chafua, then there's going to be no election. You see, now it all becomes very clear. It's no longer confusing, because we know the motivation driving the people who are changing or who are trying to change laws. Yeah, draft funny laws that will never ever survive the constitution. Yeah. Now let's take a quick look at some of those amendments that Jubilee are making to the electoral laws, so that we get more clarity. Yeah. Number one, any judge can swear in the president. At the moment, it's only the Chief Justice who can. Okay. Now, what does this mean? It means that you can get a judge sympathetic to you. Remember the voting over the presidential election petition by Raila? Yeah, you get my drift. I don't think I need to say more than that. Yeah, any commissioner of the IEBC with support of 2 other commissioners can declare the president-elect. Okay. Now, currently, we're in quite a tricky situation. And this is one of the reasons why NASA has, a lot of people have not understood this. NASA has not, despite everything that has happened, NASA has not asked for the resignation of Chebukati, Wafula Chebukati, who is the chair of the IEBC. Because the chair of the IEBC is the only returning officer to the presidential election. What that means is that if Chebukati resigns, there can be no election. It's as simple as that. Let me repeat that because it's important. It means that if anything happens to Chebukati, including resignation, there can be no election, because he's the only returning officer. Okay? So what it will mean is that we'll have to wait until we get a new chair of the IEBC for us to go ahead with elections. Yeah? Naturally, this doesn't make any sense. But in a minute, you'll know why it makes sense. It actually makes sense. Yeah? In an evil way. The people who are passing these laws were who? The Jubilee. Yeah? Now, why would Jubilee push, or why didn't Jubilee notice that there was a problem here? Yeah? Even, let me excuse them, yeah? Why would Jubilee not notice there's a problem here? It's very simple. When you're fixing an election, you want as few moving parts as possible. So you'd rather deal with just one person. Yeah? If you're going to threaten, blackmail, harass, can you imagine having to do it's easier work if you're dealing with only one person, the chair. Mambo kwisha. So you just push the chair aside. You pull him aside. And since he has power over the rest of the commissioners, you get things done very easily. And this is why this law has remained there. Okay? Now, Jubilee want to change it now. Talk of musical chairs. Okay? Just because they have lost an election, they want to change it. Yeah? Number 3, the Supreme Court shall not nullify an election even with glaring illegalities. Now, this one is funny. This one is funny. Because it means that even if they're glaring, there's rigging, there's massive fraud, the Supreme Court shall not be able to nullify any election. Hey! Number 4, there shall be a manual transmission of results. Of course, there's already a manual. Currently, it's electronic transmission, and there's a very good reason for that. Yeah, because as we have seen in a previous recording here, there's a lot of stealing with the manual. There are a lot of things which can happen if you have to transmit the results manually. Electronic transmission is less likely to run into this kind of problems. Okay, the results shall be final even if the forms are of whatever form. That one is obvious. So if their form 34 is missing, this hour too, the results shall be final. The chairman of the IEBC can be deposit of a resolution of 3 commissioners. That should be self-explanatory. The IEBC chair just needs the support of 3 commissioners, yeah, to move mountains. Wow. Any commissioner can take up the role of chairman. Yeah, it means that if anything happens to Chebukati, any of his colleagues can step in at the blink of an eye. Okay, now of course this is another loophole opened, because it means what you can do if Chebukati becomes another Msando stubborn, you have him step aside, or you find a way to get him out of the way, and then any other chairman can step into his position and you still have your presidential desk. Not good amendments. As you can see, a lot of things can happen. Right? Number 7, any commissioner. Sorry, we've already dealt with number 7. Number 8, printed register shall be used in polling stations. Number 9, anybody can chair the meeting of IEBC other than the chairman of the commission. Okay. Now you can see all these changes are loaded with plenty of mischief. Okay. And of course, Jubilee people are very intelligent. They are very intelligent lawyers on their side supporting them. Therefore, one cannot help but support our earlier declaration in part 1 that really these people do not want any election. Yeah, because any opponent who sees this happening and they know they're going to win election, and they see the losing side bringing up things like this, is not going to be interested in an election, and that will be game shot. The objective of Jubilee would have been achieved, and that is no election. And if there's no election, they cannot lose an election. It's as simple as that. Okay. Now, in the final part of this recording, we shall look at one of the other very controversial things that has come up, which is the withdrawal of the security of the NASA principles. Yeah, that deserves a deeper look to see exactly what these guys are up to. Yeah, catch you there. You know what to do. Click on the link on the top left-hand corner of the screen, and you'll be there within no time. See you there. This is Chris Kumekucha.